Hey guys, welcome to the Joe Morley Sports Show. I'm Joe Morley. I have a special guest, Joe from the Clowntown.Talkshow. They run a podcast. You can find it on everywhere, basically everywhere that there's you could get a podcast, right?
Yep.
Spotify, Instagram,
Anchor, everything,
Yeah.
and everything.
So they're everywhere. All you gotta do is type their name in, and it's gonna pop up, and you guys gotta listen to them. Especially episode number 31. I forget who you guys had on.
That was one of our best.
Probably the greatest guy you ever had. No, you guys interview. You guys have been interviewing some big names. The Angels broadcaster, Victor Rojas.
Yeah, Victor Rojas.
Players.
Yep.
You guys are getting some good interviews.
Thanks, man. A lot of work paying off.
And it's good. It's good content, and that's basically what it comes down to. And everybody who's watching, go listen to these guys and listen to their content. And you're gonna fall in love. You're gonna give them the ratings, and you're just gonna continue to listen to them.
Same to you, man. We love your stuff.
Thank you. So now that I got you away from your group, because you guys know Clowntown, you guys have like 4 or 5 guys, right?
Yep, 4. Yep.
And so basically, when I pulled you away, now you're away from all of them, so that it gives my viewers a little bit of taste about you, who you are, away from your guys. So can you give us just give me a little bit background about yourself?
Yeah. So I am from a little small town called Holliston, Mass, right outside of Boston, and throughout my watching football, I fell in love with the Saints. I got into a couple fantasy leagues when I was 12 and I first started watching them. So I had Breeze and Ingram. I just fell in love with the Saints, watched them every week. So I'm a diehard Saints fan now, even though I'm from New England. A little weird, but it is what it is. And lately it's been harder to call myself a Saints fan because of all the stuff that's been going on. But hopefully this year's our year. And other than that, we got Clowntown. I'm the host of Clowntown.Talkshow. It's a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and yeah, that's about it, man.
And you and I, we've had this conversation before because when I went on your guys' show, you guys asked me, and I said the Saints. I believe in the Saints this year. As of right now, before anything changes, I still have the Saints as my Super Bowl pick.
Love it.
And I know you probably do too because you're a Saints fan.
Of course, a little biased.
Even with the Cam Newton news going to New England, it doesn't really change much to me. I'm still going. I mean, I'm not Tom Brady, so I never was.
No,
he is what he is. I don't think he's going to make a big deal in Tampa.
I'm not worried about it.
So, are you still on board with the Saints? Having a great season, maybe even making it to the Super Bowl.
100%. I think the Breeze comment, obviously not the right time, and it was stuff going on. I think it's going to hurt us a little bit with the chemistry. But, that being said, still, I mean, I think we're already bounced back. Like, Breeze and Emmanuel Sanders worked out last week. So Breeze is starting to understand what he said and why he said it and kind of, why it's wrong, which it is wrong what he said, obviously, in a time like this. And he had a great apology and really heartfelt. So everyone, I think, is more adapt to what he said, and they're going to try to teach him and help him more than be angry at him because he said sorry and stuff. And he also bashed Trump, which was, I think, interesting, but everyone loved it. So I think that helped as well. And I think we should be good. And I'm nervous with the Bucs a little bit, but I still think when it comes down to it, I think we'll be able to beat the Bucs. It's going to be tough, but I don't think they have a full team. I think they still have a lot of missing pieces in the defense. I think the offensive line is going to struggle to support Brady because, as you know, the Patriots held a stellar offensive line to do what Brady does. Stay in the pocket, do what he can. And so I also think that he's going to struggle with this different organization. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had a guy go off on me the other day going, "You're overrating the Bucs," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not even putting them over the Saints. Like, I still think this is the Saints division, but yeah, the Bucs are improved because Winston's not throwing 30 interceptions.
Exactly.
Field position, but I think, and as a Saint fan, you've probably done your research and you know that this has to be the year because at the end of this year they have to blow it up. Their salary cap status is ridiculous at the end of this year.
It's insane. I've been saying this for multiple podcasts. If it's not this year, it's not for a while. We have too many people to sign. Everyone's due for a contract next year, and I think this is Breeze's last year. And who knows with Winston or Hill what they can do. This is it. This is the year, and Sean Payton's got to, really step it up because I've also talked about him in plenty of podcasts. I'm not a huge Sean Payton guy when it comes down to his last minute play calling, but overall he's been solid. But I mean, this has to be his year, because this is Breeze's last year, and it's just bottom line.
So you brought up Hill, and I know they've been throwing it out there that Hill is our next starting quarterback. I don't buy it, and you watch Saints more than I do. Do you buy it?
I don't buy it. So what I think with Hill is, I think that because they signed him such a monster deal, this $21 million contract, I think he's going to be a player that is not going to, guaranteed a role next year. He's going to kind of have to prove himself and see how Winston does. I think he's a player that we saw Taysom Hill, once a drive, he was out there, right? And he was still electric. I think with this deal, he's going to kind of guarantee himself a spot. I think if not every play, every other play with this huge deal. I think they're going to get him out there as either running back, tight end, or receiver. We've seen him play everything. So I think he's really going to be an absolute threat. And with this deal, especially kind of just implementing him into this offense every play.
See, I think if he was that every down quarterback and the next great quarterback, I think some team would have came out of the woodworks this offseason and signed him and gave him that big deal when he was, he was a restricted free agent. The Saints would have been able to match it, but somebody would have came out and got him.
Yeah.
I think it's all lip service about him being a starting quarterback in the league, but he is a great player and a great weapon to have. I mean, I'll take him on your team.
He just hasn't thrown enough to be a starting QB yet. He's only thrown 9 passes. You can't be a starter in the NFL.
And they need to put him as like a utility guy in fantasy football. So
they did already in most. I think they did in most leagues.
I know they tried to fix it last year because I know a lot of people are complaining. Hey, it's just a quarterback. He does a lot more. So they might as well just put utility, just like they do in baseball, just utility.
Yep.
Don't even put running back or wide receiver. Just put utility.
Utility flex. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yep.
So I know that you do a lot of mock drafts. I've done a lot of mock drafts. I continue to do them. It's great. I always tell my viewers and I tell my followers, do as many mock drafts as you can. Switch it up. Switch your position. Switch the players, and see how it goes. And that's what I always tell them. So I'm going to throw 5 names at you. I don't care about the average draft position of where they're going. I want to know where you would tell people to target him, and what you feel their value is. Where you would feel comfortable taking them, basically just your. So the first one, I'll throw the quarterback at you, Patrick Mahomes.
I personally don't take a quarterback until at least the 4th round. I think there's way too much talent you have to build your team. So for Pat Mahomes especially, I'll say 3rd round personally, but like he'll be gone by 2nd. I've seen some mock drafts that I've had. He went in the 1st. I'm not going to get him because I won't draft a QB. I refuse to at least the 4th or 5th round. So I feel comfortable taking him 3rd. If he's late 3rd, I'm like, all right, I have a good 2 picks. I could build around that. But, I mean, I'm not going to take him to the 3rd, maybe 4th. Personally, I just don't take a QB that high.
See, I think that's solid advice to give people. Like, wait. No matter how good the quarterback is, you wait. Unless you're in a 2-quarterback league, then, throw everything out the window.
Different, yep.
But – you have Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. These guys shouldn't be going 1st and 2nd round. And like I said, I was in a mock draft and I saw some guy take him like 4th or 5th overall, and I'm like, okay, thanks, but you just ruined this whole draft for us.
Yeah.
Now I can't get a real feel of it because I know. I mean, if somebody did that in my own league, I mean, I would thank them for their money and send them on their way because we know they're not going to win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
They just wasted their pick on it.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not downplaying how good they are. Don't get me wrong. It's just that the value that you could have had and how much better you can make your team by getting a better running back or wide receiver before you get that quarterback.
100%. Definitely. Especially with the lack of elite running backs, too. There's only so many starting running backs. I say you have as many running backs as you can in those first four rounds, maybe at least 2.
See, I did a mock draft like that where I think I took 4 running backs in the first 5 rounds.
It's so smart. It is. It's so smart because they're just so and honestly, if you hoard them too, you'll get a lot of trades mid-season too for one of those. So.
Oh, I'm a trader. I like to trade.
Yeah, same with me.
That's me. I'll throw trades out there just to do it.
Yeah.
I don't hold on to names. Names don't bother me.
It's true.
If I think somebody's going to have a big week, I'm going to go for him.
That's true.
Probably not the best strategy, but it's fun.
Hey, man. It's fun. It's more fun that way, exactly. And if it works out, it works out.
Here's a running back. I like this guy. I think he's good. And I don't think he'll have a down year. And a lot of people are questioning him. It's Chris Carson. What do you think about Chris Carson?
I like Chris Carson. It's not a huge guy I would pick personally, just because of the guy that Russell Wilson is personally, right? So you're going to see Russell Wilson run a lot. You're going to see him out of the pocket doing his thing. He's more, kind of a Lamar Jackson-esque, you know what I mean? Not as much as Lamar, but I think he's more of a running QB. Personally, I wouldn't take Carson. I would take him probably second or third. He's not a first-round guy, no question. Especially with the role of DK Metcalf, I think they're going to pass more now too, because overall Pete Carroll's more of a passing back coach. Obviously, you see him in the Super Bowl, second, 2-yard line, he throws in the end zone. He's more of a passing coach. So Carson scares me a tiny bit, just because of the type of offense the Seattle is. So I'll draft him late second, early third if he's there.
I think Lynch will argue with you. I think Lynch will say he's a running back coach.
Really?
No, I'm just thinking, from the 1-yard line when he tried to throw that.
I was going to say, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Because he doesn't have good thing to say about Pete Carroll as far as I've seen him in interviews. So,
yeah, that's a name that I've seen a lot. And this next guy, I've been telling people, I did a mock draft. I got him in the 8th round, and I was shocked. And I was like, I was even shocked that I even saw his name there, and I didn't see it earlier. And it's Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, I'm an Odell hater. I'm an Odell hater. I don't think he's a top 15 wide receiver. I am a despiser of Odell. I think that he is the most overrated player to ever play this game, ever. He has like 2 great catches, and then everyone says he's top 5. That is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You'll see. We all saw what he did with the Browns this year. He was terrible. He dropped so many passes. He wasn't that elite guy that everyone has been telling everyone about it. So it's like, personally, as not a fantasy player, I think I would take Landry over Odell. I like Landry as wide receiver 1 there. I think Odell's really shot himself. Excuse my language, but I really don't think that he is the number 1 wide receiver after this year. I think he's really destroyed his reputation, his stock, because of how terrible he's been in clutch moments that he should be good. He had that one catch, one-handed catch, and everyone's like, oh my God. I don't think he's a good wide receiver. I don't think he's top 15. Not a fantasy guy. I do not feel comfortable taking him.
So you don't buy into his pregame warm-ups of those catches and
I hate that.
It's funny because Landry can make the same catches. Him and Landry do the same thing.
Landry's a great wide receiver. I love Landry. And he keeps his head down and he grinds. That's why I love him. Keep your head down. Shut up. Odell's just barking all the time. It's the worst.
I like Odell just because of the potential, just because he can go and break it all the time. Has he been underperforming? Yes. Will I take him? I won't take him in the first 5 rounds of a fantasy draft. But like I said, when he was there in the 8th round, I was like, okay, that's good value for me.
You can't not take him, I guess. Yeah, the 8th round is a little ridiculous. He will put up numbers, but he's just not a guy I feel comfortable taking.
Yeah, and it's understandable. I mean, there's always a guy that you put on your list for any other reason, like this guy I don't want to touch.
Exactly.
Like he's done you wrong, or so you had a bad taste in your mouth for some reason, and you just got rid of him.
Yep.
That goes for this next guy that I'm going to mention to you. This is the guy that I had a problem with, and like I traded him last year, and I couldn't. I don't know why. And a lot of people are high on him this year, and I'm not. And it's Juju Smith-Schuster from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not high on him this year. I know a lot of people are. What's your take on him?
I like Juju a lot. I think he's a great wide receiver. I think with Big Ben coming back, I'm not a huge Big Ben guy, but I really think that he didn't have a guy to throw to him at all last year. The Mason Rudolph and whatever that guy's name, Duck, whoever that was. I don't even know his name.
Duck Collar.
Yeah, whoever. He had nobody to throw to him. That team, I'm surprised that team won 8 games or whatever. I think it was 9 games, whatever they won. I'm surprised they did just because they had no QB. And so for me personally, I don't think that he's a bust this year. I think he's a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to improve his role a lot. Big Ben likes him a lot. He throws to him a lot of end zone touches. I think he's a touchdown guy. I love his route running. I love it. Like if you look at his route running, it's electric. The way he gets out of that, off that line, I love it. I love watching him play. I'm a big Juju guy. I know he had a disappointing year, but I think he can have a great bounce back.
Would you take him over like a Mike Evans or Julio Jones or?
I would definitely take him over Mike Evans. I've talked multiple podcasts. I'm also a Mike Evans hater. A little biased being a Saints fan, but I think that Mike Evans is, especially this year. I have a little bit of hot take for you. Especially this year, he's going to be really bad fantasy wise because Tom Brady, as you know, is a guy that boom throws, gets out of pocket, boom throws, snap, boom throw, snap, boom throw. So I think that Mike Evans takes a lot of time to get open because he's slow. He's a little slow. He doesn't have great route running. So Godwin's going to be a fantasy machine because that is the definition of a Brady wide receiver. The Edelmans, the Wes Welkers, the quick, fast guys, the slant routes. I think Mike Evans is going to struggle severely because Tom Brady's not going to have the time to throw to him. So I would definitely take him over Mike Evans. Not Julio. Julio take over Juju, but Mike Evans definitely.
See, and I think that's a big divide this offseason is there's the Godwin people and there's the Mike Evans people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them personally. I think I like both of them. But like you said, you want the fast little guy that's just gonna get that slant and go, or you want the big guy that hopefully he can find in the end zone. And that's where you gotta question yourself. And I don't know. I think Mike Evans is more of the red zone target. When they get closer.
Yeah.
You saw it a couple times last year where Godwin will take it and he'll have like 60 yards on the whole drive, and then they'll throw the touchdown to Mike Evans. It's like,
yeah,
man, let him finish that. Let him finish and get the 6 points.
Right. Yeah. You're right. But you also see Brady throw, so many screens that he throws to, Edelman. You see that all the time, and that's the Godwin that is going to catch. Godwin's going to be the number one receiver there at the end of the year. He's going to be WR1. In my opinion.
See, me, I'm kind of steering away from anything Tampa Bay just because of the overhype that people put in on. And the tight ends that they have, they still have. Oh. They have Gronk, they have O.J. Howard, and they have Brate. So you got to do something with these weapons somewhere.
100%.
So I don't know, it's just the weapons. And then there's that rumor about Antonio Brown. I don't think Antonio Brown goes unless Tom Brady is now the GM. I don't think Antonio Brown shows up down there. But if Antonio Brown does sign with the Buccaneers, then I think they just gave full control to Tom Brady for the whole year.
Yeah, I think I saw a report this morning. I don't know how true it is, but I think it was Bleacher Report that says Bucs will not sign Antonio Brown. I do agree though. If they end up signing Brown, that's again I stay away from too many powerhouses. There's too much going on there.
And all the dream teams usually blow up and don't become anything.
Exactly.
That's how it normally is. So I wouldn't.
Especially those personalities too. Especially with all those personalities. Oh my God.
And I know Tom Brady is trying to play that role right now, but imagine that one time one of these guys mess up in a game. And he lights into them because that's what he does. You've seen it on the Patriots. He lights into people.
Oh, yeah.
You got to see is Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, can they take that criticism? Can they take the yelling at? We'll find out this season.
We'll see. We will see.
Are you a baseball fan?
I am a little bit. I am not as knowledgeable in baseball I am football, but I know my baseball.
Who's your team? If you had to pick a team.
I mean, I'm a Red Sox fan, New England guy, so I'm a Red Sox fan. But a little disappointing off season, but we'll see how we do here in this short season.
I don't know how you could how you trade your best player. That
was tough, man. That was really tough for me, honestly. I mean, watching Betts and Price walk away, we're getting little. Little. We got a little out of that trade.
See, I'm a Dodger fan, so it's kind of like a little reward. Like, okay, you guys got the World Series. But we'll take we'll take these players now. Like we'll get these guys now. It's like it is what it is. But Mookie Betts, I don't know if it would ever worked out in Boston just because money wise, how much they really play. But the player that you guys are getting, Alex Verdugo, is actually a really good player.
Okay.
And as long as he stays healthy, and I know he went over there broken. I think he had like a problem with his back or something. But as long as he stays healthy, I think the fans in Boston are going to fall in love with Verdugo.
Awesome. It's good to hear, honestly.
So it was a good – yeah, you look at the names and you go, oh, man. But, it was a good trade. And
yeah.
Dodger fans Dodgers have a lot of depth, so it worked out. And
they do.
It's going to help Boston in the next couple of years. It might not help them immediately this year, but it's going to help them financially over the next couple of years to get under that luxury cap. That's what baseball has, is a luxury cap that they don't, that they get penalized for. And a lot of people don't want to pay that extra 25, 50% being over the luxury cap.
Yeah, it's true.
But, we'll see how Boston does. It's a 60-game season this year. Anything can happen.
See, I don't know if it's going to help them, but we'll see what happens there.
We just got to hope that all sports continue. Like, I know they pushed everything back. Basketball, baseball, and football are all split. Their seasons, they can get together before that, but the seasons are supposed to start at the end of July. The July 24th, through the 29th is our main date for sports. And that's what I'm hoping for, because I don't believe it's going to happen until we actually hear a buzzer or the umpire says play ball, or that whistle blows. That's when we'll be like, okay, it's actually happening. Do you see it happening? Do you see any sports actually taking place?
Obviously, I want to say yes, and I want to be optimistic here. But I mean, with all these reports, I just popped up my phone. The NHL just had they just first round of testing 15 players have the virus. It's just going to be so hard to see it actually happen with all these players having the virus. Nobody knows, nobody knows the exact. I don't want to get too, into the virus, but nobody knows how long it lasts in your system, how long it's contagious. It's a brand new thing, who knows? So it's really interesting to see if these guys, the season's supposed to start in a month, less than a month, how are they going to it's really interesting. And now with half of friggin' the Cowboys and the Texans having it too, and probably more people in the NFL, and then baseball. A ton of people have their baseball already. People calling out, and then obviously basketball. We saw DeAndre. We have half the Nets. It's sad.
See, and that's what I get too. Like, people don't understand. I'm not a doctor or anything, so I'm just going off of what I read and everything. People don't understand. It's a respiratory injury or illness, so it's going to get into your lungs. And like, I heard Zeke talking the other day, and I think he tested positive, and then he's been negative, or he's clear of it, but he still hasn't been able to work out, and it's been like 3 or 4 weeks, and he still hasn't been able to get into that mode. So it's going to be interesting to see when they start working out how much it actually affects them, or when they have to go to a place like Denver with the higher altitude of where it goes.
That's a great point.
It's the long-term effects of the virus that nobody knows about, that we're going to have to learn on the fly.
That's a great point.
And you got to wonder if football will have the same opt-out as baseball, because I know baseball, you can opt out. If you're high risk, they'll still pay you. If you're not, you could just opt out and just not get paid and just lose 60 games, 67 days of service.
Yep.
But you got to wonder what the other sports are going to do. But
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I think football's going to be a little more stricter. I think football, it's overall, Roger Goodell's stricter, obviously.
And
so we're going to see what happens there.
You're right. Your offensive line, defensive line are right there.
Yep.
Breathing and everything.
That's a great point. Yep. They're on top of each other.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I want sports back 100%. We've gone 100 and something, 100 plus days, and it's been the long 100 plus days of my life.
It's been ridiculous.
And you guys probably do the same thing as me. You guys, you know how hard it is to get content out without sports daily. Like we have all these stories in our head of stuff that we've used to do or we watched, but it's so hard to kick out content that we wish that the sports is back.
That's exactly what I was saying too to my host. It's like we've done 40 some odd episodes in 2 months of no sports, It's like, what else am I supposed to say? Like, oh, what color field do you like playing on? Like, let's talk about that. No, we talk about everything possible. So that's when I started reaching out to guests. I'm like, we need to do something different. I need a game plan. Me being a marketing major, I need to switch up my market here. I need to get a new market of guests and audience. That's what I did. But I think it was like the 42nd episode. I'm like, this is just. We're talking about, I think we've had 3 episodes on the same thing at this point. Like, this is just getting ridiculous. So, exactly. Some of these podcasts are just really struggling with content because there's nothing to talk about anymore.
Yeah, I try to, on my Instagram, I try to at least put up like four things a day. But sometimes I'm just like, okay, maybe they want to hear about this guy driving down the street or something. I don't know. It's like, we'll figure it out, but. We'll get there. That's what
we'll get there, man. We'll get there.
But yeah, I know some people were like, well, we should just cancel sports all year. I was like, don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't put it on me.
Oh my God. If they cancel the rest of the sports that's supposed to happen, I mean, it's going to be devastating. I mean, who knows when it's going to come back? It's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be insane. I really hope they end up keeping it.
We'll just end up like this the rest of the year, just be talking like wishing that sports was back and like, hey, remember when we had sports? Yeah, that was cool.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, Joe, from the Clowntown Talk Show. If you guys, like you said, you guys have 40-something episodes on your podcast, so everybody needs to go check those out. I'll put the link everywhere for you guys to find it. It's easy access to find them. And then we'll go from there. So I appreciate that.
Definitely check out episode 31.
Episode 31. If that's where you want to start, that's a good episode to start. And
start there.
There's only that, and I haven't told that story. Remember the story about one of my teachers? I haven't told that story to anybody, and that it's only on episode 31. So if you want to go check it out, that's the only one that I'm gonna. That's the only place I've said it so far.
I love it. I love that. Let's keep it that way. Thanks a lot, man, for having me on. This is great.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.